Mr. Jason, are we ready to rock and roll? All right. Welcome, Ms. Zukowski. Thank you so much for being here. I had email from Mr. Johnson that he is appearing in court today, and Ms. Sessoms is taking care of some family business and will not join us, but it's just you and me, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. We do have Ms. Sessoms' data where the ranking of ADM, which is average daily membership of all the districts in the state. That is instructive for us because we want to find out what similar sized districts are doing, and her data were very, very helpful for that. When we have our next meeting, and I don't know if we can make a decision about that since there are only two of us, but when we have our next meeting, it would be helpful to have those described so it's kind of clustered. But your data were the most instructive. So if you would share what you learned, and thank you so much for putting it in the spreadsheet. That spreadsheet has been very helpful for us to keep our materials all in one place. So if you would share that, please. You're muted.
Thanks. Another thing that I did for our spreadsheet, if you look at the very top row, I went ahead and put the sort feature in there. So as we're working through this data, we can go through and choose any column that we want to look at and drill down into specific things that we want to look at.
Very good.
I did do the data for the rankings of all the LEAs within our county. For the people who are with us today, there's 115 different districts, although there are only 100 counties in the state of North Carolina. We have more districts than we do counties. And so when you're looking at this data, it is based on performance data, which is going to tell us which district ranks from top, being number one, all the way down to the bottom of 115 of their students who score a 3, 4, or 5 on their end of grade test, or ever how they are standardized within those counties. So that's where we're wanting to look at, is we want all of our kids to at least have a 3 at their end of year scores, all the way up to a 5. And so that's the data we looked at. That data, or these rankings, is not easy to access. I spent many hours on the DPI website calling people trying to get this information. Finally, I called Dr. Paula Coates with our county, and she was able to pull it and send it to me lickety split so that we can always see where we're ranking against other districts. And this information is very important for us, because if we're looking at making decisions on how we're going to change our school board and how elections are going to take place, we want to make sure that our district is the top, right? So right now we have to model what other great districts are doing to make us rise up in the rankings. And for those of you who are here, just so you know, I'll share with you where we are at. And Johnson County Schools right now ranks 83rd out of 115. I think one of the things that we do, and that I do want to mention, is at Sampson County, which is where Dr. Bracey is coming to us from starting on Monday. His district in Sampson County ranked 16 out of 115. So I think we're moving definitely in the right direction with some of the decisions we're making.
And to piggyback on Sampson County, in fact, he's been in the 18 to 15 ranking for the last 3 years. So this is not a fluke year. This is a trend for Sampson County, and that's what we want our trend to be. It has been there before, when you and I both served the district long ago and far away. We were in the rankings with Chapel Hill, Carborough, and charter schools. So we can do it. We just need to get our resolve and figure out how we can best serve our constituents countywide.
Absolutely.
So talk to me just a little bit about what, if you discerned any patterns. I'm looking at the data now of districts that elect countywide and those that are elected by districts. Were there any noticings that you found?
So if we look at the districts elected by districts by voters only within the district, which is a lot of what our constituents are asking us for. And I'm going to sort the data, Dr. Smith, using those little up and down arrows. And if we look at Madison, for example, And I'm looking at column F and comparing it to column A. Just a quick look over, I see Madison County's number 14. The top, well, let's see. Can I share my screen?
Absolutely, please.
Because I want to make sure we're looking at this together.
Good.
Let me minimize everything here that doesn't need to be shared. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen okay?
I can. Oh, how great. I can see. As you can see by this little tiny print, I could not see. So this is great.
Okay, so here I'm looking at column F, which is the number elected from districts by voters within a district. Okay,
Yes.
so these are the number of seats that each of these districts have, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if we go down and we look at just a district our size, so our school board our size, so I'm gonna take everybody out except for those that are 7. I want to clear that field. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 districts that have 7-member boards. Oh, nope, there's one that's got a 9. There's your trend.
Those are 7 were elected from districts, so that's correct.
Yep. Yeah. So there's your trend. Yep, 2 at large. And so we've got Alexander, which is ranked 22, Anson, which is 104, Edgecombe, which is 110, Granville is 80. Iredell is 41, Martin is 105, Montgomery is 87, Vance is 95, and Wilson is 59. So I think the other variable that we might want to look at is how these districts compare to our districts in population and in income, and also how much money is being put into those school districts at the local level. I think those 2 variables would probably be another thing that we could possibly add into our dynamic.
Yeah, I have, I'm a member of the Public School Forum Board, and I do not know if this year's data have been published, but they always publish a ranking by district, ability to pay, and then how much they contribute. So those data are available from the Public School Forum, and that would help us also determine if our district compares favorably for electing by districts. You know, it's really kind of across the board, but like there are 3 in the hundreds and then 2 close to 100. So it's really maybe the election process is not the discriminating factor.
Maybe not. Let's look at it this way right quick. I want to look at it a different way, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Let's look at it by LEA rankings.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If we do that, we know that Carble, Chapel Hill is number 1. They elect across the district. So then there's Polk. They elect within our Union. They elect within their district. So they're number 3. So that's not bad.
And Union's very similar in size to us. They're 41.
Correct.
Yes.
And then let's do it similar to size. So we can come down here and do this. We'll go from 25 to 41. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
So then that just gives us 2.
But
New Hanover and Union. New Hanover's ranking at 19. Union is ranked 3rd in the state, and one of those 2 districts elect from districts by the voters within that district.
Right. Very interesting. There are 9 members. Go back a minute. There are 9 members on the Union board.
Yes, ma'am. And we're really closer to 41,000. And that's why we've had that discussion of adding 2 more board members to our board.
Right. And I've had lots of positive feedback about that. I don't know if you have, but a number of people have said, as large as we are and as diverse as we are, both, hold on one second, Terry. Tracy. Hey. That's it. That's it right there.
You want us to return the other ones?
No, I'll keep them because I might want to look at them. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And the other one's right there to return.
Okay, this one?
Bye-bye.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
so sorry.
Dr. Smith.
I was waiting on the library to bring me some videos and they just arrived. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. And you know what I realized I didn't do? I thought it would do like a from A all the way to Z, but you had to go in and click those boxes. So when I went and got the other students or other districts, it gave us a little bit more.
Very good. Very good. Only within the district, we have 2 elected at large. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so, you know, it's a pretty mixed bag, but when you look at the rankings, that's pretty impressive. That those counties are,
Especially the top 3. I mean, you're looking at Union, Cabarrus, and New Hanover with a ranking of 3, 15, and 19. And even one of those, Cabarrus, does not have a partisan board.
yes, yes.
So
If we added, if we go to the public school forum and get the rankings by, we could add a column that says ranking by expenditure. That would give us an additional bit of data. Go back, Mr. Kelly, those that are only elected from within districts. I had done that myself, but you have such a little click there. That would be great to see that.
let's see. I'm really showing my lack of skills here.
Fine, I'm just pleased that this is going through this sorting process.
There we go. Oh, I think I'm totally messing up. Hold on one second. Let me bring it down and bring it back up.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, and now you want to see it how?
Only those districts that are elected from within the districts. And they may have some mixture, but that would be a great, I had done that just, you know, mentally, but this is actually showing that very clearly. And again, there are the 9-member boards, the 5-member boards. I had counted, but I may have made some mistakes just counting. This is really helpful to be able to do that. That's a great skill. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Number elected from districts by voters only within the district. There are how many of those, Tracy? It looks like 43 of them. 43, no, more than that.
$36.
How many?
36.
36 out of 115. So
Okay.
roughly a third elect from within, and then there is a voter, there's an at-large. See how many at-large voters there are.
Oh, I didn't like that. There we go. So at large. $21.
Okay, so 36, maybe my math wasn't off too badly. 36 elect within district and 21 with an at-large.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, very good. So when we get our team reassembled all together, I would like us to really pay attention to those data. If a third elect within districts and their achievement is what I call respectable, then I think we do have some validation that is the right thing to do. And I still think that our high school attendance areas are the ones that are would be easiest. Mr. Johnson did not give us his report about how much time it would take, but Princeton and North Johnston do want their own representatives, which I don't blame them. It's just that numerically we would have to bring in some experts to, well, they're going to have to do that anyway, but to make those districts dip and sway, I guess, to give them an equal representation on the board. Right. So it would be interesting to talk to these people about how they got their districts divided and by whom. So could you take on another assignment?
I sure could. Yes, ma'am.
If you would take 5 of them, the couple with 9 on their boards, and those that are just from those that are elected within district, and find out how they divide it and by whom. And by the time we get Mr. Johnson's data, that will give us a full picture of how much it would take monetarily and how long it would take, and find out who they used. Okay. I know there are a couple of places that were engaged before, specifically the Institute of Government at Chapel Hill and ORED from NC State. And so if we could just find out who they used and how long it took, and Mr. Johnson will provide his data, then I think we'll be in good shape. Yes, there are 3 with 9 and 1 with 8. How do you have an 8-member school? No, they have 9.
These are all 9s.
Yes, see how quickly you did that.
There's only 10. I think I should try to reach out to all 10.
That would be great.
Okay,
that would be great. And we can't make any decisions, but I will send out a possible next meeting and see when we can reassemble and get this done. I'm not sure how many. Michelle was out yesterday and tomorrow. I mean today and tomorrow, and so I did not get from her the final numbers of surveys that have been returned.
Okay.
But the ones who've been returned have been positive, with the couple saying no and one saying yes, but with the disclaimer of splitting Princeton and North. So I'll find out from her the next pieces of data.
Okay.
Do you have any other insights and any other questions that you've been asked in the community? Anything that we could respond to?
I don't necessarily have any more questions been asked in the community, but I think what else is going to be important in this investigation of looking to, or this time of research about these 10 districts, I also want to find out when they move to a 9-member board and what was their number prior to.
Awesome.
And what they moved the 9-member board from. So I think the years are going to be important, because if you're looking at someone who has a low ranking, they may have just recently done that change.
Right.
So I want to look at that as well. I think that's very important to know too.
That would be great, Tracy. And I look at Wake County. I know that they have been a district elected board for a long time, but I don't know how. I don't know how they got their districts. It certainly cannot be by high school, because they have 30 high schools or 40, I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But that would be really interesting to know. And they're number 17.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. That
then we have Union, who's number 3.
Yes, and they're almost our same size.
Right, exactly.
And I've been thinking, I know we can't make a decision today, but I've been thinking that if we stayed with our 7, if we went to a 9-member board, we have essentially 8 high schools. We could keep that 9th member as what I call the potential next high school, because we know we are already direly in dire straits for another high school. Mm-hmm. Then we would have that person waiting, and that would carry us a good number of years. And then it may require redistricting by demographics rather than high school areas, but that would make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Charlotte Meck,
Yep, that's another one.
6 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two largest districts in the state. And I can see, I've been in school board trainings with people from both of those districts.
Yep.
I mean, both of those school districts, not districts representatives. And they seem very, very happy. The one thing that I've heard from people in districts in Harnett County in particular is that the cost of running a campaign, and I know this has nothing to do with why we should do it, but the cost of running a campaign is exponentially smaller when you're running just in your district.
Well, I was just going to add to that. It's not that it does matter in the sense that if we want our community to be represented on our school board, that can be a hindrance for some.
Absolutely.
Just the thought of spending that money to run a election campaign, because it's an investment. And if you narrow it down to a smaller area that you've got a campaign in, I feel like we're going to be able to pull a greater number of candidates.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I never spent any money. I never had to file a campaign report until they dropped it way down so low that I had to one time. But it's not just the amount of money, it's the amount of investment of time and going to places and participating in events. But I have heard that it was such a joy not to have to spend campaign countywide. Yeah. And I've also heard that if we want to balance our board, we really need to know people. And a lot of times people don't know who's running. They just know a name and they're endorsed by this person or endorsed by that person. And they really don't know a lot about them. So when you're in your community, chances are people know more about you than they would on a countywide basis.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Other thoughts before we adjourn this very brief but very informative. I love this, Tracy. This is just awesome data. Awesome.
Yeah. I just think, I think moving forward, we still have to keep our target goal in mind, which is what is best for our communities and what's best for our students and staff. Right. And if we keep that in our forefront, making our decisions and presenting to the full board as well as to the public forums, then I think we'll be doing justice.
And I think we can look back with pride and say we helped our district move forward. I really do. My ignorance of political process, notwithstanding, and the way we put the cart before the horse, my fault entirely, but I think we've all learned from it. It has engendered a lot of conversation. Mm-hmm. My apologies again to the West Johnston area and not including the name. I assumed that part of their constituency would fall under, they're only a mile from Cleveland, and I know that a lot of those constituents would fall under Ms. Grant's Cleveland representation, but I still should have said West Johnston. So lots of mistakes, but I think we're moving forward
from those mistakes. And I know if we could have a penny for every time we said, these are different times, these times are changing. Being able to do what we're trying to accomplish and make it 100% transparent is difficult right now. And that's the reality of where we're at. Luckily, right. I think that we've jumped that hurdle and we're better Zoomers than what we were before this whole process started.
Absolutely.
And we're learning to be able to make it as transparent and welcome the community into discussions as quickly as possible. So I look forward to our public forums.
Awesome. I do too. And I will send you the minutes. And when you approve them, I will send them to Ms. Gill for public release. And Mr. Jason, can you think of anything else we need to do in terms of recording this? May I ask if it was recorded, so in case I forget something, I can go back? Excellent. Fabulous, fabulous. Well, I'm not going to write extensive 30-minute minutes, but I will record what I've captured, and you're excellent, Ms. Zukowski. This is excellent data and excellent manipulation of data for just ease of use, and I will go to the public school forum and get those data and distribute that to the committee. Now, it will be from last year. I don't think they've published it for this year, but I will go back and pull that.
Yeah.
And, send that report.
And that does remind me, Dr. Smith, remind me to put out this disclaimer. The rankings data is from last school year, not this school year.
Yes.
Wanted to put that out there.
No data from these last few months, which is very very sad that we don't have. I've heard principals saying this year we just had knocked it out of the park and we were just going to make the grade, and so we'll just have to wait until next year to see that come to fruition. But at least we're moving, and hopefully that it's engendering more conversation in the public for getting this concept started.
And it does provide us with a compass. It provides us with a good compass. Right. We are using data, and that's the most important thing that we need within one of the most important things that we need within making any decisions is
absolutely
numbers why.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been a productive half hour. Mr. Jason, thank you for yours in getting us live streamed. And until I send out the minutes, we will be adjourned.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.